In a year of uncertainty, one thing's for certain. The Children's Hospital of Michigan will always be here for you and your child. From the small things to the most complex things, we're here to take expert care of you and your family. This year, we are going to bring you 3 extraordinary stories. Stories of hope, of love, of courage, of dedication, of medical expertise. 3 families that walk their journey hand in hand with us at the Children's Hospital of Michigan. One focus, one purpose, your child.
Before I was pregnant with Cadence, it was me, my other son, his dad, and his half-sisters. When I found out I was pregnant with him, we were so happy. I had a miscarriage before him. So he was my rainbow baby. He was born a very happy, healthy, bouncing baby boy. Life was normal after that. Then he wound up getting a cold. He wasn't wearing his diaper. He wasn't really eating. And his breathing was kind of off. And I was like, let me just take him in to see, if everything is okay, just to make sure. And I brought him in. We never left back out after that.
Caden's mom was very, very insightful. She knew there is something wrong. Caden doesn't look his usual self, even though it looks like a common cold, breathing a little bit faster. But he was sick. Caden's heart was not squeezing or pumping well because of the inflammation, what we call myocarditis. If circulation is not adequate, all other organs are also affected in the body. Kidneys, liver, functioning of the brain. He went on intravenous medication. He went on ventilator to support his breathing. And it became very apparent that that was not enough. We decided to get the support of extracorporeal membrane oxygenator, ECMO. It takes over the work of pumping of the heart. Remained on that for 10 days. He got better to a great extent, but Caden's heart is not recovering completely.
Cadence was unable to progress clinically. He was still on a ventilator. He still needed drips to help his heart function and his blood pressure. At that point, we decided that a Berlin heart was his best option. So this is the Berlin heart pump. It's a ventricular assist device, or a VAD. We have 2 ventricles, a right ventricle and a left ventricle. For our patients, we typically use this as a left ventricular assist device. So we call this an extracorporeal assist device, so this is outside of the patient. Our patients will have this cannula, comes outside of the patient. We hook it up to the patient's left ventricle, and then we have another cannula that goes in through the skin here to the aorta. And what that does is it takes blood out of the left ventricle, goes into this pump. This is a pneumatic system where air pumps this and it goes to the aorta. So this pump is essentially a left ventricle.
Typically, when you put somebody on Berlin heart, it acts like a bridge to transplant, and you don't take that Berlin heart out unless you have a heart ready for transplantation.
As Caden's recovery went along, we noticed that his heart pump wasn't filling as well. And usually when heart pumps aren't filling as well, it's related to the patient volume status. They might need more blood or more fluid. But really, what we found out was his function had returned to normal. So the support of the Berlin heart allowed Caden's heart to recover completely.
When they came back in to talk to me and they told me that we're going to be able to take the Berlin heart out, I was like, oh my goodness, that's when I realized that he was going to be coming home with me.
Removing the Berlin heart is something that we've never done here. Something that may have only been done at a half dozen or a dozen centers around the country. So it makes us really unique. It makes Cadence extremely unique. And it's really giving him a chance at life, to live and to be a kid and to grow up and to be a teenager and go to college and all of those things. It's a huge strength of the hospital, and I think it's a huge strength of our team. And one of the reasons why I like being a cardiac surgeon is it's very team-oriented. Everyone's opinion is valued, and everyone's opinion makes a huge difference.
As a pediatric intensive care unit nurse, a lot of the care is directed towards the patient, but then also Part of my job as a nurse is to immediately incorporate Cadence's mom, Candace, into our health team. Parents are a huge role in their child's care here at the Children's Hospital of Michigan. We do all family-centered care here, and it's great when we can watch the parents get to be normal parents again.
I love the nurses at Children's Hospital. I love them all. They make the day a lot better. It's like sometimes they could sense, when something isn't right or when you're feeling down, and they always made sure to talk to me. They always made sure, to give me encouraging words, and it felt like home. It definitely did.
If you've met Cadence, you know that he has like a huge spirit, completely unbreakable. He's full of life.
Kay is back like he never left. Kay is a very busy, very, very busy, almost 2-year-old. I'm looking forward to watching Cadence just be himself and be a normal kid and run and play and accomplish things, and watching him grow into himself.
When we realized there was a big problem, he got very cold. I took his temperature and he was 2 or 3 degrees low.
Yeah, at that point we didn't know what was going on. We just knew that he was in bad shape and he needed to get somewhere where they could take care of him.
Despite the challenges that have come our way, together, we're on the move, back on the path to a brighter future where you never miss a date with Dad or walk with the one you love. We know life's special moments don't pause. So when the situation calls for expertise, we guide it with a human touch. Your access to high-quality care and a trusted partner for the moments that matter.
As a pediatric intensive care unit nurse, that afforded me the opportunity to work with the critical care transport team, which is called the PANDA team, Pediatric and Neonatal Dedicated Ambulance. We transport kids by ambulance from referral hospitals to the Children's Hospital of Michigan, where they can receive services that might not be offered at small community hospitals. I'm thankful to provide a lot of different critical care. It's very exciting.
At the Children's Hospital of Michigan, your child's safe care is our #1 priority.
As the only dedicated children's hospital in Metro Detroit, our team works hard to provide the specialized care children need. From fevers and flu to life-threatening conditions, your child is in good hands. We're proud to continue our nationally recognized pediatric care.
Thank you for trusting the Children's Hospital of Michigan. One focus, one purpose, your child.
Despite the challenges that have come our way, together, we're on the move, back on the path to a brighter future where you never miss a date with Dad or walk with the one you love. We know life's special moments don't pause. So when the situation calls for expertise, we guide it with a human touch. Your access to high-quality care and a trusted partner for the moments that matter.
The day of the big blizzard 2 years ago was the day she went into labor. I remember it really well.
It was really exciting and scary all at the same time.
He was born happy, healthy. Everything went very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we brought him home, everything normal to meet his brothers.
He was sleeping, eating, doing all the normal early baby stuff.
And then not quite 2 weeks, we noticed he was tired all the time. He slept all day, didn't eat much. By that evening, he wouldn't sleep and was up crying all
He
night.
was screaming and he got really cold.
Starting to turn blue. So we threw him in the car and took him to the emergency room. And they actually called an ambulance. They couldn't do much for him, so they called the PANDA EMS to come get him and take him to Children's.
So when Panda came, it was really intense. I rode with him to the hospital and I was in the emergency room with Ewan. And there were just so many people.
When Ewan first came to the hospital, he was a couple of weeks old and he came to us in what we call shock. Shock is when the heart function can no longer support the function of the body. So your kidneys and liver are initially most affected. Your lab numbers become very abnormal. Some people might get swollen, they get very cool, their pulses become weak. So he required a breathing machine as well as several IV medications to help support his heart function.
We were at Children's for 2 weeks, and they were able to kind of like get him set up so that he was just on a couple medications, and he was doing really good for a long time.
He came home right around the end of February.
The summer seemed good.
And then about the time school year started last
He
year.
wasn't eating as well.
He started to not grow as well. He came back to see me a little sooner than planned, and at that time, unfortunately, his heart function had worsened. His function was such that we did know he needed to be readmitted and was restarted on some of the same IV heart medicines he was on when he first presented at 2 weeks of age. Unfortunately, this time, those medications by themselves were not enough. He started getting sicker and required more and more care. He required being placed back on the machine for breathing support as well as ECMO, which supports the heart and lung function mechanically. You can't be on that machine for a long period of time, so ultimately, after further discussion, he was placed on something called a Berlin heart, which is a long-term mechanical device that helps support people that have poor heart function.
The prognosis was that once that went on, the only way forward was going to have to be a heart transplant. I guess it changed somehow in my mind from like the worst case scenario to the thing that was going to save him. The weekend stay turned into 9 months in the hospital.
Yeah. We were kind of starting to come to terms with that. This was the way our life was going to be.
There's not a perfect formula or way to know if you're going to find a matching blood type and size donor in the right amount of time. Unfortunately, about 15% of people waiting on the transplant list die waiting. And 20 people on average die every day waiting for an organ transplant.
In June, I was there for my day with him and got ready to leave in the evening, as always. And as I was leaving, my phone rang. And it was Dr. Blake, and she asked me to come back up. And I went back in, and Dr. Blake was in there and told me that they found a heart.
Yeah.
We did finally receive an offer that was from a good-sized donor that matched him well. And so he went to the operating room, and over the course of probably 10 to 12 hours was kind of disconnected from his mechanical support device. And then his new heart was placed. He was able to come off the breathing machine after surgery within just a few days, and was quickly kind of trying to get back to where he had been before surgery.
Honestly, after the transplant, everybody, especially us, were just amazed at how fast he bounced back.
We're only there for about another month after he had his transplant before we came home.
It took a lot of people to get us here, between our families and our friends, helping with the other boys, staff at the hospital.
They were always thinking of him, even when they weren't working.
A lot of his nurses would come check on him when they weren't even scheduled to work.
It was really hard for me to go home at night, but eventually I did. And one of the nights that was a little harder for me was New Year's. Keith, one of Ewan's absolute favorite people, did a whole photo shoot, and it was so sweet. He texted them to me like, "Oh, he's having a great time. We're singing and dancing," and it made the nights a lot easier, knowing that people were there for him.
All the people just amazing. I mean, the family of the donor. There's never going to be any words that would express how thankful I am for the choice they made.
I can't imagine what families go through that have to make a decision to donate. It was the most overwhelming feeling to know that we had gotten an offer. It's just indescribable the way it's changed our lives.
You're obviously very excited for your patient and their family. They've been waiting a long time. You're equally sad, though, for the donor family that's had to make that choice, but grateful to them as well for making the choice. My hope is that, Ewan goes on to live a long, healthy life, and that he and his donor live that life together.
Thank you for everything, for getting up and making those decisions, to putting somebody else in a spot where they could thrive. Because when I see my son, that's what I see. He's thriving.
He was going to go to nationals for track, and he was going to win nationals and then hopefully go on from there. But then the brain bleed came.
At the Children's Hospital of Michigan, your child's safe care is our #1 priority.
As the only dedicated children's hospital in Metro Detroit, our team works hard to provide the specialized care children need. From fevers and flu to life-threatening conditions, your child is in good hands. We're proud to continue our nationally recognized pediatric care.
Thank you for trusting the Children's Hospital of Michigan. One focus, one purpose, your child.
Despite the challenges that have come our way, together, we're on the move. Back on the path to a brighter future where you never miss a date with Dad or walk with the one you love. We know life's special moments don't pause. So when the situation calls for expertise, we guide it with a human touch. Your access to high-quality care and a trusted partner for the moments that matter.
At the Children's Hospital of Michigan, your child's safe care is our #1 priority.
As the only dedicated children's hospital in Metro Detroit, our team works hard to provide the specialized care children need. From fevers and flu to life-threatening conditions, your child is in good hands. We're proud to continue our nationally recognized pediatric care.
Thank you for trusting the Children's Hospital of Michigan. One focus, one purpose, your child.
Despite the challenges that have come our way, together, we're on the move. Back on the path to a brighter future where you never miss a date with Dad or walk with the one you love. We know life's special moments don't pause. So when the situation calls for expertise, we guide it with a human touch. Your access to high-quality care and a trusted partner for the moments that matter.
Brandon's always been a super active kid.
I mean, he was racing the track, mountain bikes, crit racing. And he did well in all of it. And not just against the kids, like men who've been racing their whole lives, who've raced in Europe. He's like beating them in races at like 14, 15 years old. It was exciting to watch what he was capable of.
Somebody said to him, like, that kid knows how to push himself. He does, he gets a goal and he sticks to it, and absolutely nothing will shut him off. He thought he was probably gonna go to college for it. One of his ultimate goals could be try to go to the Olympics, and he was gonna go to nationals for track, and he was gonna win nationals and then hopefully go on from there. He became a sprinter. And sprinters, what they do is they do a couple laps around, and then at a certain point, the two racers decide to go as hard as possible. And he went down, he crashed. It was probably, I don't know, 38 miles an hour or something crazy. I ran up to him, and he didn't wake up right away. So I knew something was not right. And the ambulance came, we put him on the board, and we took him over to Children's. When he went down, he fell on his right side, broke his collarbone, cracked a rib, hit his head, and got knocked out. And because it knocked himself out, they did a CT scan to make sure everything was okay. So what they found was a large cyst on his brain. They said, "Did you know your son has this large cyst?" We said, "We had no idea." They said, "Well, it's an incidental finding, and this is how we find them. Some kids skateboarding, they fall, and they find this."
And with the original scan, you could see the arachnoid cyst. We see hundreds of arachnoid cysts in a year, and I think of these as kind of like a birthmark on the brain. They're inconsequential. We don't ever need to operate on them except in very rare circumstances. And in Brandon's case, this is that rare circumstance.
I have this arachnoid cyst that is like 30 times the size of what they normally would be. It's about the size of an egg, just in the left hemisphere.
He had actually a rupture of the arachnoid cyst that was not able to be diagnosed on the initial CT scan. And over the subsequent days to a couple of weeks, he developed this fluid collection on the surface of his brain. And this was causing shift of the brain itself. He had a very benign neurosurgical condition that unexpectedly became a brain-threatening condition.
That's when the headaches started getting really bad. It was concussion clinic, new types of meds every week, different plans of what they wanted to do with surgery.
His initial surgery was simply to drain the fluid that was causing pressure on his brain, and he did very well from that.
We thought everything was okay, and then the brain bleed came. He developed this horrendous headache, and he called me from work, and I drove home immediately, threw him in the car, and by the time we got back up to Children's, he was vomiting, and I knew something was wrong, very wrong.
I can't remember a worse time in my life. I wasn't sure if I would ever ride a bike again. I don't know if I was going to leave that room.
We went in for the second surgery, did a minimally invasive approach in order to evacuate the blood clot that was on the surface of his brain and also filling the cavity of the arachnoid cyst. Although the tendency for a condition like this is to place a shunt system that is a permanent device to drain the fluid in that space, you have to provide a type of care that is very precise to that patient. And I think one of the things that we specialize in is a precision medicine-based care. We noticed that Brandon's brain was healing quite well, and we opted to continue watchful waiting because of his activities, and so that he could continue to pursue and reach the higher limits of what he wished to achieve with his life.
Always been in a car family as well. Like if it wasn't the cycling race on, it was a Formula One race or some rally race up in the UP. And when I couldn't ride, I went to work and I saved up. I bought my dream car at 17 and started working on it. This really goes back to the same thing with bikes. It's being able to have like a mechanical connection to something and just the adrenaline rush of hooking a corner as tight as you can or just feeling like it's all about to go wrong and then you just nail it. When I got out of the hospital, obviously the first thing I wanted to do was get back on the bike. So there was definitely some times where I snuck out before I was really supposed to ride a bike, but just couldn't help myself. But I found a new type of racing called cyclocross. It's kind of a mix between mountain biking and road biking. It's a weird hybrid, but it's really starting to catch on lately. And same thing. Fell in love with the sport all over again. Bought a new bike, got ready for the race season, and just put my head down and saw what I could do.
Where we are today is completely because of everybody on that floor that helped him.
Dr. Maraputi, she saved his life.
She saved my life multiple times. I can't stress that enough. I can't thank them enough for changing the course of my life.
At the Children's Hospital of Michigan, your child's safe care is our #1 priority.
As the only dedicated children's hospital in Metro Detroit, our team works hard to provide the specialized care children need. From fevers and flu to life-threatening conditions, your child is in good hands. We're proud to continue our nationally recognized pediatric care.
Thank you for trusting the Children's Hospital of Michigan. One focus, one purpose, your child. At the Children's Hospital of Michigan, your child's safe care is our #1 priority.
As the only dedicated children's hospital in Metro Detroit, our team works hard to provide the specialized care children need. From fevers and flu to life-threatening conditions, your child is in good hands. We're proud to continue our nationally recognized pediatric care.
Thank you for trusting the Children's Hospital of Michigan. One focus, one purpose, your child.
Despite the challenges that have come our way, together, we're on the move. Back on the path to a brighter future where you never miss a date with Dad or walk with the one you love. We know life's special moments don't pause. So when the situation calls for expertise, we guide it with a human touch. Your access to high-quality care and a trusted partner for the moments that matter.
As a pediatric intensive care unit nurse, that afforded me the opportunity to work with the critical care transport team, which is called the PANDA team, Pediatric and Neonatal Dedicated Ambulance. We transport kids by ambulance from referral hospitals to the Children's Hospital of Michigan, where they can receive services that might not be offered at small community hospitals. I'm thankful to provide a lot of different critical care. It's very exciting.
This year, I am so very thankful to be part of the dedicated team at the Children's Hospital of Michigan. This is a team of doctors, nurses, clinical staff. Their sole purpose is to care for children. These folks can work anywhere in the country, and they choose to work here because of their dedication to our community, our families, and our patients. That makes me so proud and thankful to be a part of this team.
I am thankful for the opportunity to be able to take care of kids who are so inspirational. I'm also thankful for being able to give this opportunity of cutting-edge technology, cutting-edge research and discovery back to the kids of Detroit and the community around. We are so fortunate to have so many resources here that it has always been a joy to be a part of this team.
It takes a village to raise a child. Similarly, it takes a whole group of cardiologists and nurses and all other medical staff to take care of a single child.
I'm thankful to have maybe played a small part in alleviating some of the stresses that come with having a very sick kid in the hospital.
You can't put all that time and energy and kind of worry and thinking about them once you go home for the day. And not be grateful for how far they've come and how well they're doing. And your only hope is that it continues indefinitely.